in a trailer, so makes it a little easier. Yes. So, well, goodness, hello, and we are live. So this is lunchtime with us. Scott, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, Kayleen. May the 4th be with you.
Oh, well done. Thank you. May the 4th be with you as well. That's most excellent. I kind of forgot it was the 4th, so thank you. That's great. Well, while we wait for fans to kind of join us for lunch, you and I take a moment to geek out, and I think we both have something to nerd out on. Scott, would you like to go first?
I would, Kayleen. So in honor of the day, I brought out, hope you can see this. So this is obviously a stained glass piece that my father made for me when I was young. And it's extra special now because he passed away about 3 years ago, but he would do stained glass probably about 10 years when I was young. He would make all sorts of windows for our house. And I have like 4 of his pieces, but this is probably my favorite because we were both into Star Wars and he made this for me. And it still has the old string on it that I had it hanging in my bedroom. And yeah, so anyway, this is extra special and I knew you would appreciate it. So
I love it, Scott. That's fantastic. Yeah, that is a good stained glass piece for sure. Well, my geek out is something a little bit maybe it's homemade. So a while ago, I got into cooking a lot with nutmeg, and nutmeg is a beautiful spice. And when you cut it in half, it has actually a really cool grain pattern. So I bought a bunch of nutmeg and I put it into some resin and I made my own scratch and sniff table. So on that, smells like nutmeg, but the graining on this is just so pretty. And as a joke to myself, I put walnut legs on it and some bolts, and I call it my nuts and bolts table. So yeah.
So did you say that's resin that you kind of filled in the gaps with?
Yeah. I did I actually did it in 2 parts, and I would do it differently next time, but hey, didn't have too many directions to follow on this, but it's fantastic. And I was expecting there to be problems because nutmeg is an oily kind of nut, and that over time I would actually, it would start to kind of erode, but it hasn't. I did this about 10 years ago, and so it's still in pretty good shape. So yeah.
That is so neat. Sophie loves working with resin, so you'll have to share that project with her sometime. She would love that.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. It's nice to kind of spark and inspire and then, create the things that we enjoy around us. And in fact, I'm really excited about today's guest because I'm kind of rewinding a little bit and talking back to the educator side. So I'm talking with the Association of Career and Technical Educators today, and kind of, how do we get students involved and encouraging them even earlier?
Yes. And so, yeah, I'm so happy about our guest today as well. And I think part of the plan is to talk about scholarships, right? And the cool thing today, I don't know if we planned it this way, Kayleen, but today is National Signing Day for Skills USA. And so they're actually handing out scholarships as we speak to schools and students all over the country. And in fact, I was supposed to be in a school today to help deliver a scholarship, but it got canceled at the last minute. That the student's still going to get the scholarship, but COVID related stuff, they couldn't allow guests in the school. So anyway, I wasn't able to do it. But the cool thing is there are scholarships being distributed. For example, the Home Depot Foundation is giving out, I think, 6 $5,000 scholarships today to students who are pursuing careers in the skilled trades. And
wow.
I'm sure Alicia will talk about all of this as well, but our good friend Mike Rowe, his deadline's coming up in a couple days to apply for his scholarship that he gives to students, the work ethic scholarship. I think the deadline is May 6th. So, hey, I think the main message, Kayleen, is if you want to pursue a career in the skilled trades, there's all sorts of money and opportunity out there for you to do that. And so I would just encourage our viewers to check it out. Go to cefca.org and we'll share more information about scholarships, but there are a ton of opportunities and a ton of money out there for this sort of thing. So.
Oh, big time, and I think we're also going to talk a bit about Perkins funding, but another source is the Harbor Freight Tools for Schools scholarship is also closing soon. So on the teacher side, it's tremendous. And I'm excited to get to talk about all these good opportunities. There's no reason to go into debt and have a great career at all.
Absolutely. You're exactly right.
So are you going to be hanging out for the entirety of the show to come back on after I'm done chatting with Alicia, answer some questions?
I am. I'll be right back. Can't wait to sit back and hear your conversation with Alicia, and I'll be back on at the end to answer any questions.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you so much. And you win for the stained glass coolest thing ever.
Thank you, Kayleen.
Awesome.
See you soon.
Hey, Alicia, how's it going today?
It's great. Thanks so much for having me.
I am thrilled that you were able to join us today. It is such a pleasure and a half. Now, you're the Senior Director of Public Policy for the Association of Career and Technical Education, or ACTE, as you know, us in the know. Can you tell me a little bit about your role at ACTE?
Sure. So let me start with what ACTE is. We are the nation's largest not-for-profit association committed to the advancement of education that prepares youth and adults for successful careers, CTE. And we represent the entire community of CTE professionals, educators, career development professionals, administrators, business and industry partners, other stakeholders in our system, and provide advocacy, public awareness, resources, professional development, all the tools that those CTE leaders need to best serve students on the ground. So my role at ACTE is to oversee primarily our federal policy and advocacy work, but also all of the research and communications that supports both the advocacy for federal policy as well as the implementation of federal policy by our members and other CTE stakeholders on the ground.
It's excellent. It's so good because, you know, we do need some things to change to really highlight these opportunities. So I have had the opportunity to go to Washington before with ACTE, and it was an amazing experience. So side tangent for all of our viewers, if you are not a member yet, you need to sign up and come join for these opportunities. We know what CTE is as far as career and technical education. But how do CTE courses help prepare students for their career?
Sure. So CTE really delivers three fundamental skill sets to students: the academic knowledge and skills they need to be successful, the technical knowledge and skills, and those employability skills that employers say are in such high demand. And CTE delivers those skills through programs that begin as early as middle school with career exploration, career development, helping students be exposed to what the world of work actually looks like. You know, move into more intensive high school programs that start to narrow students' focus and give them an opportunity to gain some technical and employability skills in areas that might interest them, and then transition into post-secondary education, apprenticeships, many other opportunities kind of post-high school to continue to grow their skills and earn credentials that will allow them to be successful in the workplace.
I love that you mentioned that too, because education does not stop once you graduate high school. It continues on forever. And sometimes we do need to keep our credentialing up to date, or continue that. And yes, that's absolutely very, very true. So when we talk about CTE and the training opportunity, it's a vast, vast world out there. And the statistics shows that CTE success it's outstanding. You know, students who are involved in CTE programs really show a higher graduation rate. In fact, excellent. We're bringing up your website now. 95% of students concentrating in career technical education graduate high school, which is 10% higher than over graduation rates in the US. That's an incredible statistic. Focusing on that statistic, what is it about CTE that helps students stay in school?
So that is definitely one of the hallmarks of CTE, is that it engages students in relevant real world learning. And there have been a number of research studies that show that it's that relevancy, the ability to connect what they're doing in other classes, not just in their CTE class, but in their math class, in their science class, and English classes, that help students see the potential of how those skills might be used in their future careers. And CTE can make those connections for students and give them that reason to stay in school and earn their high school diploma, as well as to transition into those post-secondary opportunities we were talking about.
It's true. I've often said, I understood the Pythagorean theorem, but I didn't actually comprehend it until I framed a wall for the first time and had to square it up. And I just wish that I had that hands-on opportunity in high school to have that click. Oh, all right.
And so, there are a lot of CTE teachers that have been working very closely with their academic counterparts to make sure that those skills are connected and that students understand that framing a house is using the Pythagorean theorem. And so that then makes their math classes easier for them to, they're like, yes, I can do this. I know how it relates to the real world.
It really is. And I don't know, I meet students all the time. We're like, I'm excited to be in school. It's great because it makes sense. And really, I like how the dots are being connected, because in the industries, we read a lot. It's a lot of math. These aren't unskilled positions. And so having all the teachers work together is critical. So there are 30 million jobs paying a median income of $55,000 or more that require education below a bachelor's degree. And individuals, associated with degrees in CTE fields can earn up to $10,000 more per year in those fields. What are some of these jobs?
Sure. Well, there are a whole host of what we call middle skill jobs in a lot of the research literature that pay those high wages that enable individuals to support their families. Information technology, healthcare, energy, construction, logistics, ag engineering, and advanced manufacturing are just a few of those kind of high wage jobs that CTE can prepare students for. And as we're seeing the economy evolve over the past year plus of the pandemic, we're really seeing the need for some of these high-tech, high-skill career areas, and things like healthcare have really been elevated in prominence within the economy.
Which is excellent, because, I really want students to graduate and then come get the training in the industries and not waste maybe 4 years thinking about something else. And so it's great to kind of encourage them earlier. And the opportunities in healthcare are off the charts, and the technology is cool. Like, oh my, if I had known, I would be playing with those power tools instead of the constructors. Yeah. So many of these 30 million, amazing, great paying jobs that require low cost in the education. Sometimes we were talking about scholarships earlier. What are some good CTE courses that a student could take in high school to prepare themselves for these careers?
Sure. So high school CTE gives students broad opportunities, and in many places kind of organized around what we call career clusters. So for example, you might find a healthcare pathway in a high school, and that might be appropriate for students interested in being nurses or radiologists or surgeons or EMTs, the full spectrum of healthcare careers. Those students would benefit from exploring and gaining foundational knowledge. Similarly, in construction trades, you might have a construction and architecture program at the high school level that allows students to either kind of explore across the industry, maybe do some welding, some HVAC, some electrician work, or maybe to start broad, but then dive deeper into some of those individual subject areas that they're interested in.
Yes, you never know what you're going to like until you try it and, give it a go. Okay, before I confuse our viewers, I know we're saying a lot of letters and alphabets.
Oh,
so
yes.
ACTE and there's CTE, but Georgia has CTAE. What is the A?
So in Georgia, the A stands for agriculture. So they have called it career, technical, and agriculture education.
Ah, excellent. Thank you very much. But so in Georgia, the CTAE offers 404 industry certified programs, and that is a tremendous amount of choices. Are you seeing a larger an interest from students in a particular area?
So what we're seeing right now is growth in, or potential growth in, programs that are able to operate in the current economy. So things like healthcare, things like the construction industry is booming, with availability for jobs, and they're back up and running. Advanced manufacturing, transportation and logistics. Never has it been more evident the importance of our transportation and logistics systems to get goods where they need to be than over the last year. And so I think we're seeing kind of growing interest in those fields, in automation, in IT, but also in more, I don't want to use the traditional, but fields that have been important for a long time, like business and agriculture and those foundational CTE programs.
It's awesome to see the growth too. And, I've often thought about becoming a truck driver, but it was mostly because I just wanted to pull on the air horn all the time. But now that they're really great paying careers as well, it really is impressive. So it's well documented that supporting CTE in a community is really going to help the growth in that economy. And I have the stat here that in Colorado, the Colorado Community College System alumni, their workforce provided $5.1 billion annually, which is an incredible amount. I had no idea. In Georgia, 54% of jobs require skilled training that's more than high school, but less than a 4-year degree. How essential are these jobs to the economy, especially now?
Well, as we've just been talking, they are incredibly essential to the economy. And that Georgia statistic kind of mirrors what the job market looks like around the country. I think many people believe that you have to have a bachelor's degree in order to pursue a job that's going to provide a living wage and allow you to support your family. And certainly there are some career areas that do need bachelor's degrees in order for students to go into them. Engineering, education, or being a doctor, all need advanced degrees, but there are many other jobs, like the 54% in Georgia, that students can earn industry certifications or post-secondary certificates or associate degrees, and have access to those essential jobs in the economy.
It is absolutely fantastic and nice, letting, and especially parents, know that just because your student is not attending a 4-year university does not mean that these jobs are not critical. They're essential and they're well paying.
Yep.
I really do appreciate bringing up the website again, because it's some great information for our viewers to check out. But one thing I do want to talk about is I don't want to skip over post-secondary education without discussing how to pay for it. What are some programs students should look for into helping pay for educational training?
Sure. So on the federal level, the most well-known, most important program is probably the federal Pell Grant program. All students, even if they don't think they'll qualify for federal financial aid, should complete what we call the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Once they've completed that application, it will allow them to see, are they eligible for a Pell Grant? Are they eligible for a work study position at their post-secondary institution? Or maybe a student loan to help pay for education and training. That free application for federal student aid also often triggers a lot of state aid and resources, and is what some states use to allocate their own financial aid for students, or other scholarship providers might base things on the FAFSA. In addition, for adults or out-of-school youth in particular, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, funded out of the Department of Labor, has money available for example, dislocated workers, if they're interested in reskilling and getting back to work in a new trade or area. There are individual training accounts available for some qualifying individuals, and people just need to go visit their local American Job Center or one-stop center. It might be called something different. In each community gets to brand those American Job Centers, but Those centers can provide a wealth of resources to help students access financial aid as well.
It is a tremendous resource. And so how refreshing that, especially for, recent graduates or adults wanting to try something else, excuse me, or reskill, to have that access and also support. We do have to do a lot of education and sometimes even on the job. So the fact that we're being supported with the opportunity for finance is fantastic. So where can students go to get more information on financial assistance for their CTE degrees?
So I'd encourage people to go to a few places. That federal student aid website that we just showed everybody is a great place to access and fill out that FAFSA. But more importantly, I would say go visit your school counselor if you're in high school, and they can refer you to lots of aid opportunities that are available at the federal level, at the state level, and at the local level. And for post-secondary students, visiting the financial aid office on their campus can help them access those resources as well.
It's excellent. It really is a great opportunity. Now, one thing I kind of want to touch on, because we're talking about a lot of resources, but how have things changed with COVID? How are things evolving?
Well, it's definitely been a challenging year for CTE educators, much like all educators that have had to deal with this shift to remote instruction or hybrid instruction, as some people are getting back to. In CTE, the difficulty was kind of elevated because of the hands-on nature of our courses. Some of them, construction, for example, are really difficult to teach via Zoom, like we're doing right here. But we've seen tremendous innovation from CTE educators around the country that have, explored new technologies, new instructional methods, new ways of delivering career development and student support to individuals. And you can see on the screen here a report our organization just put together on all of the challenges and innovations that CTE has worked through over the past year. And what we're really hoping as we emerge from the pandemic, hopefully emerge from the pandemic soon, that educators and policymakers will be able to take the best pieces, that they've learned from the past year and institutionalize and integrate those into their programs. AR and VR technology are things that we would love to see more students have access to. And by using technologies like that, you can then provide students with, you can spread the availability of lab space and employer work-based learning sites and things a little wider, because you can supplement with those technologies, or even simple things like moving some of the direct instruction on things like terminology or process or safety, into a virtual format so that students have more time in the classroom to do project-based learning and lab work and things like that. So we've learned an awful lot. And I think our educators are really poised to offer some innovative programs and tools to students moving forward.
And they are the coolest tools ever, that VR and AR technology. I've experienced both in the healthcare and construction field, and I'm blown away. We're keeping kids safer. You look at even the welding programs, we don't need such extensive ventilation anymore, or going through product. So a quick question. So in Georgia, there's federal Perkins funding, and there was almost 46 million this year. So there is financing to help schools purchase some of these products. Where would a school go to find out information on that?
Sure. So federal Perkins dollars are distributed every year to states, and then states in turn distribute those to local school districts at the secondary level, and at the post-secondary level to community and technical colleges. And so those monies will come down to the local school district each year by a formula based on how many students they have. And then it's up to the local school district how they allocate those resources within the parameters of the law, of course. I would say even more importantly than Perkins funds right now are the funds that were provided by Congress through the series of COVID relief bills. The most recent one being the American Rescue Plan Act. It provided, so just to put it in perspective, Perkins is about $1.3 billion a year spread across the entire country. A significant amount of resources, but once you divide it between every single school district and every single community and technical college across the country, just a small portion of funding. But the American Rescue Plan Act provided about $170 billion, billion with a B, for education programs to help schools get back up and running, to help schools address students' unfinished learning and accelerate students after the pandemic. And so we're really encouraging CTE educators to try to tap into those funds that are coming down to their school districts for the new technology and instructional methods they really need moving forward.
That is absolutely fantastic, and I hope they do, because it is a unique opportunity where we can leverage the technology and then appreciate the project-based learning opportunities more, because you just can't teach gravity and how to use a hammer through Zoom. Not yet.
Yep. Yeah.
This was such a tremendous lunch and such great information. Thank you so much. And I'm happy. Scott, thanks for joining us again. What did you think?
Yeah, Kayleen, I think the takeaway from today's conversation is if you want a career in the skilled trades, there are all sorts of opportunities for you to pursue it. Not just job opportunities, waiting at the end of the tunnel, but opportunities to get funding to help you get trained in whatever area you want to be trained in. And, Alicia mentioned the federal funding related to COVID relief. And I think I mentioned this to you before, Kayleen, but we were able to tap into here in Georgia some of the CARES Act money under President Trump. We were able to work with our governor here in Georgia, Governor Kemp, and he allocated $3.3 million for our construction ready program. So that's just an example of what Alicia was talking about. And I suspect, there's some version of that in every state in the country. But with that 3.3 million, we're going to train thousands of, entry-level construction workers here in Georgia, all over the state through our Construction Ready program. And so, yes, there are definitely resources available for training. And then once you get that training, the only thing I would add is make sure you pick the right trade. Pick a trade or pick an area where there is high demand, where you're going to get a job once you get that training. And obviously, selfishly, construction is one of those areas, and Alicia mentioned that. So just be careful, that's the only advice I would give. Be careful, what trade or sector you pick. Make sure that there are jobs available once you get that training. Otherwise, you're sort of wasting resources and wasting your time. But find something that's in demand, something that you enjoy. You also don't want to just pick something only because it's in demand. Make sure it's something that you would enjoy doing. And so that's the only other advice I would add to all the awesome information that Alicia shared today.
It was absolutely tremendous. And, underwater basket weaving is still not in high demand. So please don't consider that. But Alicia, do you have anything else you'd like to add? This has just been so lovely.
The only thing I would add is just piggybacking on what Scott just shared. I think helping students identify those in-demand careers and figure out what they like is why CTE is so important for students starting at a young age where the risks aren't high. A middle school student can explore many different career opportunities, maybe do some job shadowing, hear industry speakers and kind of experience a little bit of what it's like, and then start to, maybe narrow a little bit in high school, but still keep things broad and finally make a decision once they have all of the information they need.
Yes, I love that you mentioned middle school too, because you're actually never too early to start exploring some of these things. And of course, the Vision Conference in December, everybody should register and come and learn a bunch of great information. So
yes.
So both of you, thank you so much for joining for lunch. This was wonderful. And I hope a lot of teachers and parents and students got some great takeaway information today. So if you have any other questions, always feel free to text Career Path to 31996. And then next week, tune in for a surprise guest. Oh, suspenseful.
On the edge of my seat, Kayleen. I can't wait.
Lisa, thank you very much for joining us, Scott, as well. And I hope you both have a fabulous rest of your week.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
you.
everybody.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.